We're back in head coach Mark Pavlik's office this week for another review with Coach Pav. Coach, headed on the weekend this past week to BYU. What's the mentality going into a West Coast team's facility?
I think you're just prepared for a blood and guts battle. You know you're going to face a good team, and anytime you go to Provo, you're going to face a good team with a very sophisticated and loud crowd in Smith Fieldhouse. It's a great place to play any collegiate event, let alone men's volleyball. And you go in knowing that you're going to have to play at a high enough level for a long enough time to give yourselves a chance to win a game, let alone matches.
And up against a fourth-ranked team in the nation, what does the team do differently to prepare or differently to just get ready for a match like that?
I don't think we should be doing anything differently. I think the way we train is to train to play in these matches. I think what comes into play is the travel aspect. And Lord knows we've traveled enough this year, but that's always a factor that you've got to overcome, especially where you skip over a couple of time zones. But then you walk into a new building and you try to get yourself as comfortable in there with the surroundings as you can. And then you just try to make sure you do what you've done all year long and try to be as efficient with your game as possible.
And BYU known for that West Coast offense too, especially against them. 2 losses this weekend, but took 1 set away from them. What did you do maybe in that set differently?
Well, I think our best played games came in the second night, the first 2 of the second night, where I think we just settled down, limited our errors, made them play. You kind of got a feel for what they were doing. You know, Taylor Sander is a great young player in the U.S. here, and he certainly had a terrific showing the 2 matches against us. And you know, for what we did, I thought we came out of that with some very good guidance on where we've got to go the next week or so, things that we can just sharpen up a little bit. And we know that if we play our game, we're going to be fine. We've just got to play it for a longer stretch of time against the teams that are not going to give us easy points.
And this isn't the first time that the team has met a West Coast team this season. You were talking earlier, you know, your team has the ability to beat a team like Stanford. Just talk about this league, West Coast, East Coast. You know, where does that talent lie across the board?
It lies across the board. There are more and more schools are pulling in better and better talent. I mean, case in point, Harvard and Princeton. The players that they have playing right now, and if they keep getting the talent and those types of players, they're going to move up the ladder very, very quickly. And that's just happened across the board. It's not solely a West Coast, East Coast, Midwest, South, North type of talent base anymore. It doesn't matter if you sport a tan in February. There are people playing this game really well, and the reaches of central New York down to Virginia and Florida, all the way over to St. Louis and up to Chicago and down to Arizona. And you look at just about any roster, and there are things come up. Pepperdine has a setter from the Northwest. So all of a sudden you're seeing more and more regions that are represented on various rosters various rosters of teams by different players. And you're saying there are a lot of good players out there, and they're not just gravitating to any one particular area or one particular school.
A lot of the veterans on your team have had a chance to get to know some of the guys West Coast playing internationally or during the summer. Do you see that come out at all during play when you guys actually face these guys?
Oh yeah, and it's not just the older guys. It's, you know, the younger guys. The freshmen that walk in have been playing against the freshmen and sophomores on other teams since they were 12 years old. So there's a lot of friendships built up. I know Taylor Sander is good friends with Connor Kerr. So and I think that's gone a long way too, of kind of erasing regional dominance, or the perception of regional dominance. These guys grew up playing against those guys, and they beat them, they lose to them, they get to know them, and all of a sudden that mystique is no longer there at about the age of 16.
Well, Coach, we'll be back later this week. You got 1 more match left in the season. We'll talk to you then.
Yeah, we'll get ready for senior night against St. Francis on Saturday at 7. So if you're coming up for the blue-white game, I think we got a huge weekend planned, and hopefully we get a chance to talk about that later on this week.